Federal government supports production of electric cars towards zero emission. Bakers to hike bread prices by 15% on rising input cost. Plus, oil stuck between supply strains and economic doubt. The program is Business Express, reaching you from Abuja, Nigeria's capital. I am Benny Adams, your guide. Good to have you join us. It's time to talk business as we bring you up to speed with happenings in the marketplace. We start by telling you that the federal government is assuring electric vehicle producers in the country of its support through policies and technical intervention towards achieving zero emissions transportation for enhanced marketability in Nigeria and beyond. Director General of the National Automotive Design and Development Council, NADDC, Jelani Aliu, gave the assurance at the presentation of a new jet mover electric vehicle in Abuja.
This is very vital, especially now where solutions are required. Very cost-effective, sustainable solutions are required for to ease the challenges because of the higher cost of petrol and diesel.
And issues of public finance management, harmonization of domestic taxes within the ECOWAS region, with particular emphasis on harmonization of Nigeria's value-added tax in compliance with ECOWAS directives, are on the table at an ECOWAS and FIRS forum supported by the European Union in Abuja.
There are ongoing processes to review VAT's contribution to total tax revenue has consistently remained low.
Introduction of the Finance Act every year have seen tremendous improvement in the VAT revenue specifically.
In line with our revised national tax policy, emphasis is on indirect taxes. And so VAT is very critical. So we need to harmonize our taxes with those of the region.
While the Federal Capital Territory Administration has expressed readiness to begin harmonization of revenue collection in the FCT, the FCT Permanent Secretary says the decision is with a view to wooing local and foreign investors, in addition to ensuring ease of doing business in the FCT.
Of the 30 states of the Federation have harmonized their revenue collection, and we cannot afford to remain a laggard and outcast. Hence, let me emphasize from the onset that all the revenues to be collected will go directly to the coffers of government to provide services for our people. The payment of revenues of government into private account is no longer in vogue.
The Federal Capital Territory Internal Revenue Service Act entrusts us, the FCT IRS, with the duty to collaborate with relevant stakeholders and agencies in harmonizing and improving our tax practices. This is aimed at optimizing our revenue generation efforts while ensuring simplicity, transparency, and accountability in all our systems.
Now, from the inauguration of the present administration, the path to consolidating on past gains gets clearer by the day. This is as President Bola Ahmed Tinubu is embarking on economic reforms. On the program today, we will be looking at efforts at energy sufficiency for national growth. Our guest is Dr. Sanusi Mohammed Ohiari. He is an economist, an energy development expert, as well as the immediate past executive director of the Rural Electrification Fund. You're welcome to Business Express.
Thank you very much, Ben.
Well, Dr. Ohiari, you agree with me that Nigeria at this point is experiencing a momentous change towards its energy evolution path, and the resolve to create a just, affordable and sustainable energy system is the focus of the present administration. As an expert in this particular field, can we start by you sharing your thoughts on the way to go?
Thank you very much. As you know, this change, as you've alluded to, is occasioned by, the climate change within our energy space, and it's a global thing, really, because Nigeria is part of all of the protocols, and most recently, the COP26 and COP27 is a signatory in terms of trying to see how we can meet our net zero emissions by 2060. And all of the regulations, policies that we need to put in place, I think under the last administration, that has been, put in place already. So I think it's just for us to continue on that path. So for instance, you have to look at what are the resources available to you as a country in terms of your energy resources. And luckily in Nigeria, we have a lot of resources from renewable energy resources, to oil and gas, that we can use to transition effectively. So the idea is to see how we can move away or reduce, the consumption of energy-intensive sources. So what that means is we're moving more towards renewable energy and gas, because we have huge abundance of gas in Nigeria. And as part of our strategy, the Energy Transition Plan has identified gas as that transition, energy source for the country.
Okay, while the transition is ongoing, today subsidy is gone, energy is getting expensive, just as small businesses need power to operate. Any alternatives? Yes, you were talking about renewables. How would they work? How can they be accessed?
Yeah, so for instance, we are lucky in Nigeria because unlike some other countries that have already invested heavily in fossil fuels, especially like South Africa that has very huge deposits of coal and have a lot of coal plants. They have to decommission most of these plants and start working towards installing renewables. For us, we're still a growing economy. We hadn't reached that level where we need to now start decommissioning. So we can quickly just complement the energy sources we already have with renewables, such as mini grids, which we've been doing over the last for the last 12, 13 years now. A lot of pilots have been done, and what this mini grid does is basically provide electricity using solar energy for various rural communities, industries, and they are independent of the grid. But they can also be interconnected with the grid if you so like, and that's for the power sector. Solar. Nigeria is very prolific when it comes to solar, and this is an area that we've tapped into as government. Most of the regulations and policies that needs to be in place to encourage investments in this sector have been done by the previous APC government, and going into the Asiwaju government too, and looking at the Renewed Hope manifesto. That's going to continue. The focus will be more towards renewable energy while also trying to tap into our gas resources. So for alternatives, renewable is there, even for transportation. Just when you started your presentation, you mentioned for transportation now, we're looking towards opportunities in EV, electric vehicles. So it's not just for powering homes and industries, but even for transportation, alternatives and opportunities exist in switching to renewable. So that also creates, not just helps us with creating jobs, employment, also building skills for young people within the space. But it also helps us to meet with our targets, and it's relatively cost effective when you look at what's happening in terms of the removal of subsidy and the increase in transportation. So it creates a good competition for diesel and petrol-driven vehicles.
Okay, how affordable are these alternative sources of energy? Talking about the renewables, the mini-grids, we're talking about how affordable are they? And in terms of partnerships, we understand that government cannot just do this all alone. How can we scale up investments in this sector, talking about private investments?
Well, the initial capital outlay is usually like for any other, products, quite expensive. But then with support from government, what we had done over time while I was with the Rural Electrification Agency was to look for a way to source funding, have a mix of funds, from having grants to bringing in private investors to partner where they bring in their own equity and also source debt, and by so doing it makes the business model viable. And if we embrace more of this technology and the model, you would realize that going into the future in the short to medium term, the components even become more cheaper, because as we increase demand for these products, you see that the price will become more affordable. So I think the government is on track to continue to support this sort of models that brings in and incentivizes private sector into the space.
Having been in the Rural Electrification Fund, managing such an important agency, what in your view is the way to go in managing our hydro resources as well as our gas resources in areas of providing electricity to be sufficient enough as an available power for businesses to thrive?
So we need practitioners in government that understand what the role is or what their roles are in terms of any sector, really, not just for gas or hydro. You need to always take every policy that will create the enabling environment for investors to come in or funds to flow in. So the role of government for me would be to continue to create an enabling environment. What policy gaps are available, what regulatory gaps are available, what environmental, social impact assessments needs to be done, where are the investors, where do we need to go to speak to them about what the plans are. You need to have data-backed plans and policies that would allow investors to come in. So for hydro, for instance, I think that takes about 20% of our energy mix or thereabouts. We still have a lot of potential for hydro, which we know also which will also help with even controlling flood in some parts of the country. So not just for electricity generation and distribution. And for gas, gas is our base resource when it comes to power. I think we have about 65% of our electricity coming from gas and renewable. So increasingly, we need to look at all the shares in the mix, or in terms of the energy sources, and see how we can continue to move more towards renewable and clean energy, and then also have gas there, and hydro. So it will be very, very important, for the new administration to look at how we can bring about those policies to encourage more investments in this field.
Okay, talking about the new administration, a lot of reforms are being carried out in terms of economic growth for the country. And right about now, there is so much talk about who comes in as the minister of this, minister of that. And talking about the economy, what kind of minister should we be looking for to handle our financing, as well as talking about this power generation we're talking about?
Well, if you look at the Renewed Hope Manifesto of the President and the APC, and you also look at the steps that the President has taken so far, especially in terms of some of the very difficult decisions he has had to take, in the first few days of his, administration. And you also look at the caliber of people he has already assembled, especially those ones that we already know that have been announced. You look at Wale Edun, you look at Dr. Zak Adedeji, you look at Hadiza Bala, all of these people. these are very, capable people with integrity. And I would not expect less when it comes to who manages, the economy, for instance, because, the Asiwaju government has demonstrated that it's a serious government and it means business. And whoever would come in as the Minister of Finance, for instance, would have to be someone that is seasoned, someone that is capable, that is known within that space, that can help us attract various kinds of funds and also help us fine-tune policies towards attracting investors into the space for various investments within various sectors, and also help us, complement what's been done in terms of monetary policy to ensure that the economy grows, because as part of the Renewed Hope Manifesto as well, we're looking at how to double the economy, the GDP, from over $400 billion right now to close to $1 trillion within the next few years. And we're also looking at how revenue can be increased, right? So you need someone that is a thinker, someone that is a collaborator, that can bring all the various stakeholders, both within, locally and internationally, and help the government achieve all of these lofty objectives.
Okay, Dr. Ohiari, before I let you go, one last thing. The youth has been central to development of any sector of any economy, and you happen to be about the youngest in the last administration to be an executive director. With the direction this present administration is taking, talking about the student loan that has been rolled out, as well as other incentives, do you see the youth actually engaging in the productive sector of the economy to grow it? Do we have enough motivation for that?
Yes, I'm quite happy with the plans that the administration has for young people. If you look at our manifesto, across all sectors, it's always how can the youth benefit, how can you build their capacity, how can you build the skill, how can they be employed. So for every policy that comes, what's attached to it is how can you create jobs for young people, how can young people thrive in it. Even in the government, how can we bring in more young people, mentor them and see how they can contribute their quota in industry as well, in education. What are the plans for education? And you can see that from for the seriousness of the government, that even the education tax fund was increased to 3%, to ensure that more money is available to create the enabling environment for more people to go to school and build the necessary skills that they need in the 21st century to survive. So I'm quite happy with the appointments also made so far, because there's a promise that at least 20% of the appointments will go to young people less than 40, and at least 6 ministers will come from young people less than 50, and 3 will come from young people less than 40. So let's see how that goes, because it's important to have these young people. If you're making policies for the future, then you need to have the young people there, that are going to be there in the future to be part of making these policies. And of course, they will have a lot to offer, and also they have the energy and the innovation and intellect, to support the government achieve its objectives. So I'm quite happy, and I'm optimistic that going forward
we're all happy. We're all happy from this end, and we'll look forward towards much more productive Nigeria. Thank you very much, Dr. Sanusi Mohammed Ohiari, for sharing your thoughts with us at this particular point in time. We'll be reaching out to you for more insights as to how to succeed in the energy space. Thank you for being here. Moving on, humanity counts on the ocean, but can the ocean count on man? This was the poser UN Secretary General puts to an open debate at the climate change wrap in New York City. Debola Brooksland Sunday reports.
Ocean is described as planet's greatest reservoir of biodiversity, with resources that sustains communities, prosperity and human health around the world. Addressing the forum, United Nations Secretary General Antonio Guterres said man should be the ocean's best friend, but right now, humanity is its worst enemy.
The ocean is the foundation of life. It supplies the air we breathe and food we eat. It regulates our climate and weather. The ocean is our planet's greatest reservoir of biodiversity.
The open debate at the instance of the United Arab Emirates, which presided over the Security Council during the months dedicated it to climate change, peace and security.
We aim to underscore how climate change has been, is and will continue to directly impact the Council's ability to carry out its mandate. But we also believe that the impacts of climate change on international peace and security require a carefully calibrated role for the Security Council.
As part of the RAP, Special Representative of the Secretary General for Somalia, Catriona Liang, visited different regions of the country, one of the most affected by climate change.
We also talked about the importance of dealing with the underlying drivers around climate change and building resilience and a future stronger economic base.
The RAP is part of build-up to COP28 in Dubai, United Arab Emirates. Adebola, Brooklyn Sunday.
Meanwhile, farmers residing along the riverbanks in Kogi State are already experiencing apprehension as they face potential losses, not from flooding itself, but from hastily harvesting their crops. Jacob Sani reports that these farmers are taking preemptive action due to predictions by the Nigerian Meteorological Agency of another major flood occurrence in the state this year.
It is worth noting that the devastating floods that impacted the 9 local government areas of the state last year brought with them a phenomenon known as alluvial deposits, which are beneficial for cultivating food crops.
It is made up of these organic matters, sand, humus. If you see the flood water, it is muddy and cloudy. So when the water is receding, it is depositing all these things on the land.
Consequently, farmers residing along the river banks took advantage of this and planted crops. However, the rising water levels in the rivers are now forcing them to harvest the crops prematurely.
Because this farmland now, most of us do not invest anything. We do not collect anything. Like this rice, most of us lose. Like this maize, most of us lose. This okra and pepper, none of us harvest anything.
Some few weeks ago, we had a meeting with the chiefs from the riverine communities on the need for them to relocate. And the question they have asked, where will they go to? So as we speak, most of them are still there because they have nowhere to go.
Historical data reveals that 2012 to 2022, significant damage to farmlands, including loss of human lives, have been caused by these recurring floods. In Lokoja, Jacob Sani.
And now the investing public have been urged to avoid Ponzi schemes and only invest in entities registered with the regulatory body. The Securities and Exchange Commission gave the advice during an investor enlightenment program tagged Investor Safety for officers of the Federal Road Safety Corps in its zonal offices across the Federation, while enjoining the officers to be wary of any investment that is proposing return levels that are unreasonably high. The SEC also advised investors to always cross-check that such fund managers and the products they are offering are registered with the Commission. According to the SEC, the capital market is properly positioned to attract Nigerians and provide benefits to those who invest therein. And now let's look at how the trading at the capital market went today, where the equities market closed Wednesday trading session in negative territory. The all-share index declined to 64,068.81 basis points. 1.152 billion securities worth 12.5 billion naira exchanged hands in 13,751 deals. Equity capitalization decreased to 34.8 trillion naira. Well, at this point, this is much we can take on Business Express. Business Express returns tomorrow. Do well by checking our social media platforms for updates as well as correspondence.
information is power. Everyone wants power. So feel powerful with the NTA News mobile app, the one-stop information center. Real news at your fingertip. Be the first to report by uploading first-hand information on the You Report link, and be the first to know by simply clicking on any of the links on the sidebar for headlines, domestic and foreign news, economy, security, politics, sports, and more. Stream live on your smartphone and tablets and stay connected. It's pretty easy. Simply download NTA News app from your Google Play Store and you're good to go. NTA News mobile app, your access to real-time information.
And there's the start and get. Winds up that right hand. Archbishop of basketball, goal! He hung on that net like a stalk up a tree.
NTA Sports 24 brings you all sports, all time and all day. Tune in to watch NTA Sports 24 on Star Times Channel 270, Star Sat on Channel 434 and Free TV on Channel 731. NTA Sports 24, where sports thrive.
Although social media as a channel of communication is inherently harmless, it becomes harmful and damaging when used without discretion and thoughtfulness. Bad social media users spread rumors and fake news without verification. But good social media users stop, reflect, and verify information before sharing it. Be a good social media user. Stop the spread of fake news. Verify the authenticity of your source and use social media responsibly for a better Nigeria. This message is brought to you by the Nigerian Television Authority, NTA, in collaboration with the National Orientation Agency. Nigeria is a country of young entrepreneurs and great talent with the potential of making global impact. From the north to the south, there are high-skilled talents who have created businesses that are making waves globally.
Electric vehicles are not just the future, they are the now, and they are the now for Nigeria too.
Jelani Aliu, presently driving the innovation of the electric cars in the country. Victor Osimhen is a foremost Nigerian footballer and a striker with the Napoli Football Club of Italy. He is currently among the top 3 world-rated strikers in the European League.
And Osimhen sweeps it home.
Toby Amusha is a Nigerian sprinter.
The African champion, the Commonwealth champion, became the world champion, but the world record holder as well. 12.40 in the semis.
Nigeria is a country full of potential, and its young people are the driving force behind its growth and development. Believe in yourself and believe in Nigeria. Nigeria, better together.
This is the network service of the NTA.